up, guys? Welcome to another video. Today we'll be reviewing Live Free or Die Hard. This one came out in 2007 and was directed by Len Wiseman, stars Bruce Willis and Justin Long and Timothy Olyphant. Now before we start with the like button, subscribe to the post notification bell so you can know for every video. Let's just start. Let's start talking about the good. So Bruce Willis, of course, plays John McClane, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who plays Lucy McClane, Timothy Olyphant, who plays Thomas Gabriel, and Justin Long, who plays Matt Farrell. They're all very good in the film. The opening sequence, I thought it was okay. It's basically Matt Farrell's apartment. There's a shootout sequence. It's somewhat boring, but overall, I think it was an okay opening sequence. The cinematography, which of course the shots, the cameras, the lighting, it's okay. It's better than I expected for a straight-to-DVD film. But overall, when you compare it to the other Die Hard films from before, it's okay. The dialogue, I thought it was good. The dialogue, especially the dialogue between John McClane and Thomas Gabriel, who Thomas Gabriel is played by Timothy Olyphant, who he's awesome in this movie. Timothy Olyphant is fantastic in everything that I've seen him in, and he's really, really good as a villain in this film. There are some hilarious sequences, mainly with Warlock, who's played by Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith is very, very funny in this film. There are some cool explosion sequences. This, of course, is a straight-to-DVD film, but the explosion sequences sometimes made me think that it was actually released in theaters, which is sort of an upgrade to this film. There are some creepy news and TV sequences with the White House, and it goes very creepy, especially for a PG-13 action film. It was the creepiest thing that I've seen in a Die Hard film. And the score by Marco Beltrami, I thought it was good. Of course, he scored Scream 4, and I really, really like the score for Scream 4. And he sort of brings that sort of action feel to the Die Hard film, and I think it worked. The ending sequence, I thought it was okay. It wasn't the greatest ending sequence in the Die Hard franchise, but if it was to conclude this film, I thought it was fine. That's all the good that I have. Now to move on to the bad. So all the actors and actions in this film are mediocre, except for Bruce Willis, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Timothy Olyphant, and Justin Long. I thought Justin Long was good enough in this film. The first act of the film I thought was very confusing and all over the place. The director doesn't set up the characters normally, or as a normal director would do. He does something weird with not showing you all the characters in the first act of the film, and it sort of didn't make any sense, so I didn't really like the first act of the film. The second act of the film, I thought it was very long and very boring. I was not interested in anything that was happening in the film at all. I did not care about I cared about the lead characters, but other than that, what was happening to them, I didn't really care all that much. The action sequences, there are a lot of cuts in the action sequences, so it cuts back and forth from, let's say there are two characters fighting, it cuts to Bruce Willis's face and then cuts to the next character's face constantly, and that really took me out of the film. One of the agents in this film is named Agent Johnson, who is, of course, from the 1988 film Die Hard. It is a pointless callback. I did not know why they had to include a character named Agent Johnson in this film at all, but he's in this film, I guess, but another Agent Johnson. I don't understand why they had to do that reference in the film. And the PG-13 rating, for me, I think it is a disgrace to the Die Hard franchise. It feels like the longest in the series, but yet it is the shortest. There are some sequences that are pretty boring, where I found myself terribly bored at what was going on, and I did not really care that much about something that was going on in the second act of the film, there are a lot of boring sequences in that film, and it's very hard to get through. And there are also many convenient sequences. This film, it felt like the sequences that were convenient were sort of needed in the film, because without those sequences, you don't really have a film, because there's some things that happen to the characters where you just have to not believe what's happening on screen and just let your mind run. And there are a lot of sequences in this film like that. And the story, I thought, was very mediocre and very bland. They could have done better, but they didn't. And it's also missing the originality and the fun of the first three films in the franchise. Now, there is some fun to be had within this film, but it's missing that originality. And the henchmen and the villains are very forgettable and nowhere near as fun as Die Hard 1988's henchman for Hans Gruber. The third act of the film I thought was very, very mediocre. There's some good, some bad, and some very boring. That's about it. Live Free or Die Hard is better than most fourth films in a franchise and better than most straight-to-video films in a franchise. But I would recommend this to Die Hard fans, but I would say you should give it a watch. So I'm going to give Live Free or Die Hard a C. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the post notification bell so you know if I have a video. I'm Peter. Thank you for watching.